we are so excited to have you on with us today because, gosh, what a movie! I mean, it's it. We're here during award season here in LA talking
Mhm.
about. It's a bunch of us in the Critics' Choice group sitting around the tables here at the Four Seasons, talk about the movies we love, the performances we loved, and your name keeps coming up because, oh my gosh, this is just like one of those performances. We always love seeing you, but like this one is just, especially if you've gone through any of these things, just touches your heart. And so when you get a script like this, you must just think, oh, I got to do this, right?
Well, no, I'll tell you, I'll be honest with you. I've played a few ill women, these dying and sick women, but this was something very different for me. This was probably the most challenging part I've ever taken on because of the nature. You know, as actors, I'm a very verbal actress, I'm a very physical actress. And to play Eugenia, I had neither. And so when I first read the script, I was thrilled to read it because I knew Trace Lizette had just been cast, and I loved her in Transparent. I knew who she was, and I was so excited. And I love Andrea Pelotto. I had met him, he's such a stunning director, and I had met him at Marrakesh Film Festival. So I had no idea what to expect. I was just sent this. I thought, oh, maybe I'm going to be sexy mom. Oh, no. Uh, but this part, the beauty of this script and the fact that a transgender actress would lead this film was not lost on me. And so it's probably one of the fastest yeses I've ever had in this industry because of the combination of, an extraordinary transgender actress leading a film and me kind of being her, her wingman, me being the wind beneath her wings and her. And so but then when I really started to kind of dive into Eugenia, I thought, oh my God, I don't know. Can I be this debilitated? Where am I going to find this in my very, strong body and voice? And, my dearest best friend, Ricky, he said, Patty, at times you and Trace were like silent movie stars, silent screen stars. And that's really, honestly, that's how I started to think that the truth of this character had to be so deep inside me that my eyes had to carry every single thing that Eugenia was feeling and everything she knew and didn't know and wanted. And it's a journey that, I'll be honest with you, I don't know that I still really can't recover from. And I watched the movie once and I'll never watch it again. And, my friends and family, I brought it home to New Orleans, and my sisters were rocked. My family was rocked by this. My brothers-in-law, who like are finance guys, they were just like, they're like, Patty, we can't handle this. I can't handle this. I said, I'm so sorry, but I want you to see the beauty of this film. So, yes.
Well, and that's what's great too, is because I feel like now is a really good time for it to come out. I mean, two of the big themes here are acceptance and forgiveness here, I think.
Yes.
And I think, also in a strange way, amongst viewers too, how they may have looked at this film differently years ago. And so it's an interesting time for not only this to come out, but an interesting time for the discussion that's about to take place after people see it, right?
Oh, yes, absolutely. And it's the beauty of a film, even though, of course, at the center of it is a transgender woman. But the beauty of Andrea and the beauty of all of these characters is that it is in the end just a film about love and life and death and love and forgiveness. And how do you move on? How do you move, make the past, how do you move to the present and accept the past or move on from the past? And it, I took this part because I loved the message of this film, that, you know, that this woman from a very specific life, a background, married to a very, you know, a certain kind of man, a certain kind of life. And, but that in the ninth hour of her life, in the very end of her life, really in the last probably week or two of her life, it's very hard for me to talk about still, but
Yeah.
she finds unconditional love. She
Mhm.
understands and has true unconditional love for her child, and her child will not spend the rest of her life without the love of her mother.
Yeah.
And that the mother, Eugenia, dies knowing that her child loves her. And, you know, people have often talked to me about that bathtub scene. I said, well, we did it in 2 takes. It's one of the reasons I took this part. It's something I know really well. I I grew up with extraordinary parents. I'm a very, very lucky woman. I grew up with parents who gave me unconditional love every single day of my life, and they still do. And I'm 63, and they're 88, and they still do. And so I didn't have to reach far. I just had to let it go. I knew what unconditional love was. I knew it, and I know it firsthand. I know it in my heart, in my soul. And it's the love that I have for Trace, for Monica. And, you know, that's Andrea, the beauty of him. He said it's one of the first scenes they wrote, was the scene of forgiveness, the scene of, I see you. I see you. My child is my child is my child.
Mhm.
And, you know, that applies to so many people in the world, and so many people who have suffered, you know, who have suffered from the loss of a parent, from a
Mhm.
parent who has neglected them, from a parent who disregarded them, from a parent who died young, from a parent, you know, it covers so many people. And I'm so overwhelmed by the reaction in this film, and so many people have written me some emails that I should put on t-shirts. I really
Yeah.
and I don't say that lightly, because sadly it's people who have had parents who have died of cancer, and they just have written me the most beautiful emails that I will never, that I will cherish as long as I live. You know, that one email I got was, you, every move you made was my mother, every move
Mhm.
you made was my father, you know. And I'm humbled by it. I have to be, you know. I'm just an actress. I just, I mean, I mean, and I didn't plan things out, you know. I didn't. I did some research, of course, but you know, in the end, my body had to let. I had to let my body go. I had to just. I had to truly be incapacitated,
Mhm.
and I told Andre, I don't know from day to day which part of my body's going to give out. And he said, you make the decisions, Patty. You make the decisions.
Mhm.
And, you know, it was funny because sometimes when we would finish shooting, I would get out of bed and everybody in the crew would gather around me to help me. And I'd be like, you guys, I'm okay. Or
Yeah.
I'd go to the top of the stairs and everybody would be, no, 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 no. And I'd be like, well, no, 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 don't, I'll help you down this. I'm like, no, 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 I'm okay.
Mhm.
I'm okay. I'm okay.
Yeah. But but the fact that you're able to tap into all that, I mean, of course, we, you know, when we see your name, we're like, okay, I want to see it. It doesn't matter what it is. And you know, but always a great performance. But you know, people of course look up to you, and they think, what
Well,
a career, well, you know, what great roles, like you know, what do I do? And so what kind of advice do you give to those actors and actresses that are looking at you going, now that's a good career.
well, I've always I've always wanted to be a part of good things. I've always wanted to work with great directors, and my my advice is, sometimes if you absolutely need money, you have to work for money. I mean, we have to make a living. But if you're at a point in your career where maybe you can do the small film and work with a great director and great actors, work with Trace Lizette and Adriana Brazza, one of the greatest actresses in the world. I mean, one of my heroes, and, work with Josh Close and Emily, like you want to choose to work with greatness. You want to choose to be a part of something great. And that has made, I own one apartment, and that's enough for me.
Yeah.
I don't need a lot of things. I love living in New York, which is not cheap. So yeah, I did have to do some money jobs. But my goal has always been to work with the best of this industry, and to work with people that are going to challenge me, to take on a part that I'm just not sure I'm capable of. I really sometimes, like I said with Eugenia, I just had no idea. I just didn't know how I could do this. And it did, it came to me. It does, because I understood how important this was, and that I could, if I let go of my ego. I mean, I look nice and how I mean, if I let go of my vanity and my ego, which are two things that I think as actors, we have to challenge ourselves constantly to let them go. Because our vanity, I'm vain as Patty, but I'm not vain when I act. I want to be the character. I want to be the character first and foremost. And that's a big leap we have to make as actors,
That is true. Well, speaking of a big leap, my co-host Drew Pearson was one of our great Dallas Cowboys, or great NFL legend, caught the Hail Mary, and we all know the Hail Mary term now. But
yes.
But we love asking people their Hail Mary moment, that moment in your life or career where you just had to go for it. It worked out for you. I told him I was talking to you, and he's got to know your Hail Mary moment.
Oh my God, my Hail Mary moment. I'm trying to think. It's me agreeing to play a mother who poisons her children. I turned around and won every award, baby. So no, I mean, I remember thinking, oh my God, my mother's gonna have to hide,
Right.
and all of my sisters. But I just said it was a very big decision for me to play this, and I've played some unsavory character, but Sharp Objects was I thought, is this just a bridge too far,
Yeah.
And I just finally, it took me a while, and I finally, with HBO, I finally said, I'm in. To, the great Jean-Marc Vallée, may rest in peace. I said, I'm in. And it turned out to be just one of the most extraordinary moments in my life and career, to take on this just challenging in many, many different ways than like Eugenia. I mean, I played, this was just, I said, am I going to send everybody I know and love running for the hills? But it turned out to be that people kind of liked that I was doing this, that I had taken on this really, really untoward woman that I grew to love, because you have to love your character. I had to love her. Adora, I had to adore Adora. I had to love her. I did. And that was a process in itself. But it turned out to be one of the good things I said yes to. It changed things for me. Yeah.
Well, part of that is, you have to keep that mindset of like you're always kind of on the right path and doing the right thing. And sometimes us creative types, we're hard on ourselves. So is there something that you've always told yourself that's kind of kept you on that right path, even when things are tough?
I have, when I was in my 30s, I had a big bump, and I talk about this. I talked to my alma mater. I graduated Fordham, and I go back and talk to the graduating class, the senior graduating class of actors. And I had a really big bump in my 30s, and I was really struggling. And it's right before I did High Art and another independent film, which completely changed my my career. But I played a German lesbian heroin addict. Talk about another Hail Mary moment. But anyway, I've never even smoked pot. So, but I always, I hit this moment, and I realized that as actors, we ebb and we flow. We are liquid, and sometimes we are not going to flow, and sometimes we're going to hit these walls. But dig deep for the love of your family or your friends. They will save you. That's why they're there. Dig deep for their love. My mother and my father, they saved me through this rough time. And my friends, I have extraordinary friends. They will save you. And stay the course. It will pass. This too shall pass.
Yeah. Well said. Well, last thing before we let you go, there's so much to take away from this movie. There's so many layers to it, and depending on your life experiences, like I say, you may take something different out of it. What is it they're hoping people will discuss the most, or talk about, or think about? Because there's no way to watch this without discussing it with somebody.
Well, I think it's so important that we first and foremost understand the trans experience, and understand that let people be and let them live their best self. It might not be the self you see, but it's the self they see.
Yeah.
And I think, but overall, I think again, it comes back to family. In the end, our family is everything. It is. It is so deeply important to have love from our family. And I remember after finishing this film, I took a trip home to New Orleans to kiss my mother, my father, my sisters, my nieces, my nephews, my great nieces, my nephews, kiss them and hug them all. You never know where life will take them. And so, yeah.
Well, we've both been very fortunate in that way, and it's an absolute blessing. Well, thank you so much for being with us. It's so appreciated, and there were such wonderful answers. And congratulations again on this film. It's fantastic,
Thank
and
you.
we tell everybody who has not seen it to see it. And I look forward to talking to you again sometime very soon.
Thank you,
Okay,
Paul.
thank you so much.
Handsome man. You handsome man. It's the best thing that's happened to me at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, is sit here and talk to a handsome man. Anyway, thank you, Paul.
Thank you so much. Okay,
Take care.
bye-bye.
Bye.